Good morning. My name is Heather Fisher, Chair of the Historic Preservation Commission. It is Tuesday, June 18th, 2024, 8:01 a.m. I bring this meeting to order. First item on the agenda is approval of meeting minutes from May 21st, 2024. Any comments?
I move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, motion approved. Second item on the agenda is the review of historic overlay at 1416 2nd Avenue South in the Jefferson Historic Overlay District. And I'll give it to Luke. Thank you.
Morning, Commissioners. Luke Mormon with the Planning Department. Item 2A on your agenda is addressed 1416 2nd Avenue South. This is an exterior renovation in the Jefferson Historic Overlay District. To give some context, 2nd Avenue, 14th Street, 3rd Avenue South, and 15th Street kind of surround the property. The Planning Department received an application for exterior renovation, and the original house is built in 1890 with a stick style. Here's some street view on the top for site photos. Then on the bottom is from the applicant that gets a little closer to the existing materials. And so this is on the north facade on the bottom. And then the sides of the house, or side on the top, and then the rear on the bottom of the screen. And then this is the other side of the house. And here's the proposed materials. And I'd just like to point out that so a couple of these photos, I think on the top is the white lap siding that is existing. And then can't really zoom in on here, but on the bottom picture, you can see a little bit of that same white lap siding underneath the shakes there. And so the applicant pointed out that he would be matching that white vinyl with his proposed material. And so removing the vertical fiber cement panels and then the shakes as well. And then, just redoing the siding with the new vinyl material. And then other work includes replacing the window and restoring the front porch. So kind of re-leveling it all, repainting it. And and then the core neighborhoods plan identifies this as single-family residential use. That concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you, Luke. Any comments or questions? I have a question. Did anyone find an original photo by chance of this?
We have not, given
hard
that
to
it was
find.
built in 1890.
Yeah.
I gave the applicant the link to the NDSU archives, but weren't able to find anything.
Okay.
The likelihood that it's anything other than a lap siding with a 4-inch reveal is pretty low. Probably all it ever was. So if anything, that's trying to match a reveal to that effect.
And then the top portion, was that going to remain the shingle, or is that just the lap siding? No.
I think it's the lap siding is my understanding. Maybe the applicant could
The
provide.
whole thing, lap siding?
The brown part.
The top, very top portion.
The gable.
The gable portion where there's.
The gable looks like it's a shake at this point on the front of the house.
So all of that would just be.
The proposed plan is to do lap siding throughout.
Okay.
The same siding throughout the whole building.
Okay. Okay. So maybe just going back to what Matt was saying, did you have an idea of the reveal that the lap siding would be? Like 3 or 4 or 5 inches or not? 4. Okay.
This means it's 2
I
units.
guess.
Okay.
Good stuff. Oh, that's good.
Any other comments or questions? Is there a motion?
I have a question first for the applicant, if I could,
Sure.
and then I'll be happy to make a motion. So you acquired this house in 2022, is that correct?
That's correct. Yep.
And the Jefferson Neighborhood Historical Overlay has been in place since, I believe, 2018. So when did you first learn that your house was in a historical overlay?
That was about a month and a half ago. Got a contractor in line talking about the porch. The original plan was to demolish the porch and do flat siding. Reached out to the city planning department, who informed us that it was a historic neighborhood. In that case, we decided to go with the restoration of the porch to bring it and help restore it to its original style.
Yeah, much appreciated for that.
Absolutely.
I get a little bit concerned about the timing on these things. Your application is dated 5 weeks ago. And I wonder if today's approval then keeps you on target to get this project done as you anticipated? Or are you behind already?
You know, I would have loved to get started a month ago, but you know, it's part of protecting the historic nature. I've got the agreement with the contractor in line. Pretty much upon your guys' approval, he'll order the materials. He'll get started on removal of the older siding, and we'll move from there.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. All right, motion is approved. Thank you. And I also have to thank you for taking this on. This is a big project and being sensitive to the nature of the neighborhood, so thank you. The next item on the agenda is 335 8th Avenue South, Island Park Overlay in the Hawthorne neighborhood. Luke?
Thank you, Commissioners. The item 2B on your agenda is 335 8th Avenue South. This is for new construction of 2 accessory structures at this location. And then again, to give some context, you have the Red River, kind of kitty corner to the property, 7th Avenue South, 4th Street, and then 8th Avenue South are surrounding the subject property. The property is within the Island Park Historic Overlay District. The original house was built in 1907, but no house style was identified in our records. This property actually received a planner approval for certificate of appropriateness January 25th, 2023 to fix the roof after fire damage. And then now he's proposing to put in 2 new garages on the rear of the property. So here's some site photos looking at the front of the house, and then also kind of pointing out what's visible from the street, or kind of down the driveway and alley. So you can see, if you follow my cursor on the screen, this is where one of the garages will be, and then the other one will be closer to the house. And then just the site photo again of the rear of the house, and you can see it's newer construction for the roof area after that fire damage. And here's a site plan of what the applicant proposes. The house isn't to scale, but this is the front of the house down here, and then down the driveway. And you can see the 8-foot wide garages for the part that's visible from the street, and then 16 feet wide for or garage doors, sorry. And both of them are 20 by 22 feet. And then here's an elevation showing the 412 pitch, and then just the general elevation of the garage. And then the proposed siding will match the existing house. That concludes staff's presentation. Thank you. I have more materials and stuff if you'd like to see that as well.
Thank you, Luke. Any comments or questions?
I have a question just about, is there anything in the zoning about having 2 accessory structures on the lot?
It still meets the total building footprint of the accessory structure has to be subordinate in size to the primary structure, so that it does meet that. And it meets all the setbacks proposed.
Okay.
As a city, is this the extent of what people need to submit for permit?
Yeah, I believe so. I think it started with the inspections department, and then we talked about the historic preservation of having the.
Sure, but I don't see an offset to the plan east off the garage.
Yeah.
I don't see a height. I don't see a square or a distance to the back of this, to the previous garage, to the one closest to the house. So I don't know how big that is.
Maybe the applicant.
I could
point
answer
out, yeah.
those questions. So you want to know the overall height of the garage to the roof line?
I'd like to know more information than what I'm seeing on the plan.
Well, both garages are equal. They're 20 wide and 22 deep, 10-foot walls, and a 412 pitch roof. And so that total height would come in about 15 feet,
And how is
which
this?
is about what the one on the north side was the existing garage when on the property that was dilapidated, looking pretty bad. So that's why that one came down.
And what is your proposal to fit it into the historic nature of the neighborhood?
Well, this house is, I purchased it back in 2003 and had done, keeping, bringing it up, plumbing and things over the years, new kitchens, and done a lot of little remodeling and stuff. And there was never enough garage space because the old garage was just a 2-car garage, and this is a 3-plex. It's been that way, I can't tell you how long, but probably for at least 50, 60 years. And so the idea was to provide some garage space in the back and a concrete driveway, which it's never had. It's always had mud and, potholes going back there. And then the idea originally was going to try to propose a garage, all connected 40 by 22. But then I got to thinking, well, that's a lot more concrete and no green space. And by splitting the garages the way I did, there's approximately 8 to 9 feet between the two buildings to be able to bring 100 feet of snow from the driveway for pushing in and put it back in that corner in the living space during the winter. So that's how we got the split garage idea. It enhances the property and it allows it to have the green space and the ability for each person to have a parking spot.
Thank you.
I could add to just some clarification. We received a different site plan at the beginning for the original application, and then this one appeared to be more clear for showing the garages and everything. But it didn't, as you're saying, it doesn't show the setback on the east garage. So it's a little discrepancy between the plans, but that was reviewed with it.
I should add, looking at the brief description, it does say using the same siding as the house, equal size, and offset. So it does verbalize, I guess, the profile of what we're doing here. It just doesn't say or describe it visually. And I think this just goes back to maybe the ordinances, how it's actually laid out right now. It's a little bit gray, and this is just a general issue I think we tend to have. It can be a little bit, we'll say, subjective at times. So, going forward, I think in the future, we're just gonna have to lay it out specifically in the packets, specifically what we're gonna be looking at. I think right now it's just a little bit too gray. So I think that's part of the issue moving forward. Thank you.
Yeah.
Question for you, Mr. Bosserman.
Oh, sure.
You mentioned you acquired the property in 2003. The overlay for that neighborhood went into effect in 2005. When was the first time that you knew that your property was in a historic overlay?
I'm going to guess 5-7 years when they started sending out flyers to the addresses. I own, a few houses in that, 3 houses within that 2-block area, including the one I live in. And and then as you know, the neighbor to the west of me, he built a huge structure garage that's without any going through the committee. I think did we have a picture of that, Luke?
Just the aerial imagery.
Oh, yeah. The house next to it is probably the farthest thing from any historical. It needs to be demolished, It's had several additions with no proper vetting. It's the eyesore of the neighborhood. She's nodding. She must know what I'm talking about there. And then on the historical house to the east of me, the one that's the really nice mansion there, Lance owns that. And we've worked together, you know, on the fence. His garage is actually right out on the property line because back in the day, I guess they could do that. And so, you know, we took that into consideration again in the style of how we were going to do the garage.
And
we-
is his garage, the neighboring garage to the east, is that actually a historic stable?
It could be because there's an upstairs. It's a really, yeah, you can see the picture right there. It's a nice structure. Other than it's right on the property line, but I'm buying him a new fence because during the construction it was old anyway, so we worked it out together. He's happy with what we're doing. You can special order the vinyl siding that's 3 inches wide, but it comes in a sheet. You can either get the 4-inch, which is 2 panels, or you can get the 3 panel by special ordering that. And that's what we did to match the original as much as possible. Problem with the old lap siding is that, you know, they had different kinds of paints and it's, you know, trying to peel it all off and everything makes it almost impossible. We've left as much of it as we possibly could. And the garages are going to be simple in the sense of, you know, there's not going to be windows. So it's just going to be, you know, a decent structure following the rules with a foot of overhang, following those rules. You know, like say with the slabs in the driveway, just to make it a first-class property.
This is just a general question. So the property to the west, that was, yes, 339?
Yes.
Do you know approximately when they put that garage in?
About 7, maybe might be in that 5 to 7 window, but not much more than that. I can't. You'd have to look. I think he had a permit for the slab. I'm not sure, but
I'm just generally curious about the time frame. So
I mean the window layout. I mean it's just the whole thing. It's a sight to be seen. So if I can ever acquire the property, I will, and I'll come in here and we'll put it together the best of our abilities because it would need a major revamp. I wish I have pictures of it actually here, but you could see it. But I think some of you are familiar with the home. But
I think that is not the subject at hand. The question
Well,
being is the
one thing,
property
sorry.
which we're working
one
with.
more thing. I just wanted to know for the context. I appreciate your comments just on our end. I guess how things like that slip through. So thank you. Sorry, I already turned it back to you. Any other comments or questions?
I know in previous times we had asked for more detailed drawings for any applicant to come forward to actually have a better idea of what we are going to get in the final product. Is that something that we're still expecting to receive? Or should we expect to receive this as the baseline?
I think it kind of varies from project to project of what kind of plans they submit and who is applying. So sometimes with architect, it's easy. I think last month, Commissioner Dawson provided full renderings and detailed site plans and such. But for other ones where, such as our applicant here, who's just the owner, comes in and just does whatever they can for the drawing and making note of the setbacks and the things they can show on the drawings. So it kind of varies, but I guess we can kind of moving forward, like you're saying, with more detail, I guess if you want to kind of share what else you would like to see.
I guess I would like to do this and turn it in and get a permit.
I think going back to what I was saying previously, this has been a recurring issue, and there's nothing specifically spelled out, right? These are just general statements and recommendations. So until we rewrite the overlay requirements, that's about all we can do. Is that correct? And expect, okay.
Yeah, and I might add, and as Luke said, we'll in the future we'll try to get more detail for you all to review. But I think I know staff sounds like a broken record, but we're very excited when we start rewriting the land development code to look at this in more detail. And in looking at the ordinance, there's only about for accessory structures 4 points for an accessory structure in this particular historic overlay, and so it does get a little bit tricky as to what maybe are necessary minimum requirements, but moving forward, we'll try to get more detailed information. And then once we get a new land development code, we'll tidy all of that up, be a little bit more clear.
Thank you, Megan.
Could I make a suggestion
Yes.
as a citizen?
Yeah.
Since the area is not extremely huge, that maybe that eventually you guys could identify through pictures which houses ahead of time would be allowed to be demolished that are just so dilapidated and so far gone that then people that were purchasing or different things would know that that one would be exempt. It might be helpful to look at that concept so that there are quite a few houses, well, you know, in the neighborhood that are probably beyond bringing back like to.
That is beyond this, our, as a board's scope of,
Okay, I was just
that
throwing,
would be a city conversation.
okay, I'm just throwing it out as a suggestion.
I appreciate that suggestion because moving forward, when we look at, developing the land development code, I think we appreciate all those comments. So, thank you.
Anything else?
I agree that it would be good to have more detail in the future. We don't have that today for this particular project. And I know they were pouring concrete for the slab when I was there yesterday. So it seems like it's moving forward already. Also, it's a very thin driveway. You can barely see the back of the house, and it's at the end of a dead end.
Right.
And so the traffic past the house is really limited to just people that live in that house or the one to the east. Having more information going forward would be good. Historically, we've approved projects like this with the same amount of information. August of 2021, we approved one in Oak Grove. I believe it was 22 South Terrace. And that came on a Menards estimate page with a front elevation of it that we approved. So I would make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. All right, motion is approved. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any more business from the city to discuss? Nothing? Okay. With that, the meeting is adjourned. Next meeting will be July 16th, 2024. Thank you, everyone.